Okay, we're starting a demo today on drawing the crumpled can, which is the homework assignment for Unit 4. I think that's right. Yeah, Unit 4. Just lost my line. And so I want to talk a little bit about the actual structure of the homework assignment. But before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about how to look at something complicated like the crumpled can type thing here. Each of you will have your own can. We have a number for you to select from in the classroom. But I just want to talk about how we're taking what we've learned about cross-contour line and using cross-contour lines to understand form and how to apply that to really understanding something very complicated and planar like this. So I'm going to start first in Vine, and my overall goal to begin with is to understand the crumpled can almost as if it's not crumpled, like try to understand it in terms of its basic can structure. So initially I'm drawing it almost as if it's just a can, just a perfect cylinder, and then I'm going to start to see the complications caused by the crumpling as we go. And so, like with any cylinder, the most important thing right at the beginning is to make sure that our understanding of the ellipse that we're looking at is accurate and that it reflects an accurate understanding of the angle that we're looking at. And so like this relationship between these first two ellipses, the ellipses of the kind of the mouth opening then to the shoulder, those two ellipses are really kind of critical in terms of understanding the whole structure of the can and how that relates to this back ellipses. And if we can get that accurate, then the rest is relatively easy to put together. So in a drawing like this, I'm working in Vine, and as you notice, I like to sometimes just slightly wipe the drawing down so that all my lines get a little bit lighter and it gives me a chance to draw and redraw to make changes and edits and corrections while at the same time still seeing all of my previous lines. I try not to erase all of those lines because many of those lines are referring to certain structures that I want to keep remembering and be aware of as I go through the process. Might move this a little bit closer in. I think I stretched that out a little bit too far. So we can start thinking about cross-contour lines a little bit. As we remember from some of the previous demos, when we're looking at any kind of cylindrical based objects, the cross-contour lines are going to be based off of ellipses because the cross-contour lines are basically forms of circles, and as we remember, circles, when viewed at any kind of angle or on a plane different from straight on, are elliptical. And these ellipses should be roughly straight up and down, which is a little bit hard to keep that going correctly. So I'm just going to put them in for a second. But one of the complications is because the can is crumpled, a lot of these ellipses are going to be shifted. So let's get to a point like about that plane change right there, and then that crumple, and there. And what that means is that this ellipses is going to be bent in this spot. Then it's going to come around and then down. So having those lines where you've placed some of those ellipses to begin with is useful but you also need to know that they're potentially going to be shifted and altered as you're working. One of the things I've noticed as I've been working on these kind of crumpled cans for a while over the years is part of that process of me thinking about it first as an actual can, as an actual perfect cylinder, and then slowly crumpling it. Often what happens is that in my drawing and redrawing, the can gets pulled in, literally as if like it was being crumpled, right? Because an actual can, if it was crumpled, would actually decrease in height from the process of those planes crumpling in on themselves. It's important to keep looking and changing. And one of the main challenges of this process, one of the main learning goals of this process, is remembering to not let the minor issues, such as any of the details of any particular plane change, right, make them so important that they wind up confusing our understanding of the whole. The whole structure, and fundamentally, the whole structure of this can is its original elliptical form, its original cylindrical form. That whole structure of the can is the most important part. So we have to keep kind of coming back to that as we go, making sure that we haven't lost it. Because as we keep looking for more irregularities and imperfections, it's easy for those things to get lost. I think I hear Aggie in the background. How are we doing on time?
Almost at 8 minutes.
All right. I'm about to switch to Conte to have a slightly crisper line.
Eight minutes, 30 seconds.
Okay. I have a few more points to make before our first break. One of the main points I want to make is, especially as you notice as I'm switching with the Conte, that I'm starting to use changes of line weight as a way of kind of helping the eye figure out the structure of what we see. And to remember that line weight can both be a means of us describing changes of light and dark, such as this area right here where
9 minutes.
the lines, right, define the value, but it also means of describing hierarchy as to like which change of planes or which contours are more significant than others. All right, that's a good place for us to end part 1.